Welcome to the Daily B Show. Boom, with Matty B and Sam Lewis in the house. So, we're going to be talking about debunking spiritual misconceptions. Let me know if you can hear me. I got these new headphones and I don't really like them very much. Although Sam, on the other hand, has got himself this whole new setup, which I'm pretty keen to see. And look, for you guys that haven't met Sam or didn't see Sam on the last episode, he is an absolute champion. He's been helping raise funds all across New Zealand, Australia, and now America with his fundraising company, helping charities do what they do. He lives in Vanuatu. He's an Aussie lad that's helping in the man cave experience with Preston Smiles, and he's just making a massive impact on a whole lot of people. I reached out to him and connected with him, and since then have formed pretty good friendship, and he cracks me up every single time. But he was also a very deep man. He was brought up by his yogic mum, father, and he's got a lot of wisdom, a lot of stuff to share. So I'm really keen to just get into this, get a few opinions, share some different insights with you guys, and actually do a lot of learning myself. So, hey guys, Michelle, Ree, Bryce, lovely to see you guys. I'm gonna need this bloody little jigger. It's getting a little bit loose. Hey, Sammy Lewis, how are you, bro?
Matty Banks, how are you?
I cannot hear very well. Oh, there we go. My headphones weren't even plugged in. Cool, man. How are you doing?
Brilliant, mate.
Yeah,
how are you?
Very good. I'm really warm, and I'm waiting for this cyclone to hit, so I'm seeing how it goes. But I'm pretty pumped to have this chat. Pretty pumped to see, I don't know, like just where we go with it, and also just to hear some of the questions that come up as well from people, and also dig into a few of the things that have come up between us posting the picture about us jumping on and what we're doing, and right now. So, I mean, let's get stuck into it. First of all, do you want to just share again for those that didn't see you last time or that aren't in your network that are viewing this, a little bit about your own history when it comes to your spiritual journey, your upbringing, and what sort of brought you to where you are now?
Okay, perfect. Look, yeah, my spiritual journey, I suppose, is a little bit different to a lot of people's. I was brought up in a very spiritual house with parents with very, I suppose, philosophical beliefs. Mum is a yogi. Dad is a yogi as well, but mum was a yoga teacher, yoga master. Now she's an energy worker and works with healing people through basically modalities that use the chakras. And Dad actually lives with us over in Vanuatu. We live in Vanuatu, but he lives over here with us. And he's meditating a lot at the moment. He's spending around about 8 to 10 hours a day, and he's done that for probably about the last 15 years, sitting in meditation. So I grew up in a household where spirituality was very much a normal part of my life, and very much a norm. I mean, you know, Dad was doing sort of tantric healings and stuff like that in the house when I was a young kid. So it was all very normal. And then, you know, I suppose I rebelled a little bit. I don't know if I rebelled, but it was more so I went down the road of making money and really sort of wanted to, you know, carve out my own future. So I opened a business when I was 20. Still run that business to this day. We've done through Australia, New Zealand, and now we're opening up in America, and we run a fundraising company. Around about 3 or probably 4 years ago now, there was a real pull within. And this came from me doing a lot of personal development. I was sort of doing a lot of personal development stuff and always looking for something more. So I went around the world and, you know, sort out different personal development modalities. And what I came to realize is that the one thing that was really resonating with me was self-inquiry, which is what my dad had been doing, you know, ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So really sort of started to search that, spend some more time with my father, and really go down that road of, learning around about self-inquiry, asking the question, challenging the ego, and stepping into the world of, you know, I suppose non-duality or lack of separation within my spirituality.
Yeah, bang on. And just on that note, like a lot of people who aren't in this work, that would sound a little bit double Dutch to a few people. But I mean, from your experience as well, and growing up in that one of the things that we spoke about was that separation between people that are painting the picture on the outside for themselves and creating this image of spirituality, and people like your dad, where you've actually watched someone sit there in meditation for days at a time and going on that inner journey. Do you want to touch on the big difference between what people are seemingly projecting outside of themselves and projecting onto others from their experiences, and what you've seen as far as that self-inquiry? Hey guys, hey Maddie, hey Sammy, good to see you guys join. Everybody, oh my God, everybody's jumping on. And we got to just be patient with the Sol Vanuatu internet that you got there.
Is it doing it again? Is it? Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear. It's just a bit choppy. We got you. We always get what we need.
Oh. There we go.
You good?
There we go. I'm good. I'm good. I'm just trying to see the comments come up. There we go. Now I've figured out how to get the comments.
Oh yeah, cool.
Okay, cool. So sorry, Maddie. What was that question? Can you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. I like the sound of my own voice, so I'm happy to repeat myself. So the separation between what we're seeing a lot of, which is the commercialization and this outer projection of people's spirituality to sort of paint this picture with outside of themselves, and what you've seen in your experience and with your dad sitting there for days at a time meditating, but also your own experiences of that inner self-inquiry.
Okay, definitely. Yeah, look, for me, spirituality is fairly basic and simple. It's about a return within, or it's about you seeking the journey within. Where I really wanted to go with this conversation when we sort of had a chat about the topic was, I really wanted to talk about how people seek without, or seek outside themselves, to find spirituality. They look for the next course, the next book, the next guru, you know what I mean? And they look for all these different things outside of themselves for their fix on spirituality, if you like. And for me, spirituality is really going back to your home, back to your source, and spending time in your heart. Where unfortunately, what I've seen with the spiritual industry, and especially being involved in it so young, it's become very trendy now. More so with the popularity of social media, and everybody's got their opinion on social media, and I suppose the message can be spread. But what happens when the message gets spread like that is sometimes it becomes it gets diluted. It becomes a bit of a supermarket product. And I just think for us. Look, to get right into it, I work on an underlying principle of the Uyghurs, and at the moment we're in the Kali Uyghur. Now, this is a yogic or a Vedic principle where we talk about the in breath and the out breath, okay, and how that completes. At the moment, we're in a time cycle called the Kali Uyghur, which is the out breath. Okay, so everything is breathing out. That changes, and then people use the terms the golden age, and then the golden age is the in breath. Okay, but I think it's 2,700 years. Okay, so it's quite a long time. So I don't want to go right into that. Yeah, basically we're in the fucking middle of it. Okay, but lots of spiritual teachers out there think there's definitely ways to compensate what we're doing. And that's the turn within, and that's individuals and beacons of light turning within. Okay, and being with themselves. Now, unfortunately, spirituality has been confused, and I suppose I don't know. It's very glamorous at the moment, and people are trying to mystify what spirituality is, because if you mystify spirituality, it generally seems to sell.
Can you give me some examples of books. what you see people, the ways you see people mystifying it, so people can know what to look out for?
What specific examples? Or
no? We don't have to drop names.
No, I won't go down that road. Look. I mean, people are very much into all sorts of things. I mean, big talk now is talking about the dimensions and different dimensions, and now we live in a five. You know, the big thing is we need to get to that 5D dimension, get out of the 3D dimension. It's a funny thing. I was talking to my dad about this, and he's been into this since the '60s. In the '60s, the big thing, you know, when Ram Dass came back and started to teach all these teachings, the big thing was about the 4D dimension. Now, all that the 5D dimension is some fucker's gone out there and basically said, all right, now we've leveled up a bit, we've evolved a bit as people, and now it's a 5D dimension. You got people talking about bloody 9D dimensions and all this sort of stuff. This is all very confusing stuff, and most of the people that talk about it don't really know too much about it. So you're talking about different dimensions, different realms, and different, I suppose, states of being. Okay, when for me, that's just confusing the matter. It doesn't matter whether we live in fucking 3D, 5D, fucking 12D. It's just about going within and going back to the only thing that matters, and that is source or God or the absolute, whatever you want to call it. But it's going within, and you know, all the ancient spiritual teachings teach you that you find the within the heart cave or the seat of the heart, some people call it. Yet we just continue to go out there and buy books and, you know, to take all these courses around it. So there are definitely a number of different ways that people confuse. I mean, dimensions is just one way that it is confused.
What are some other ones?
I mean, look, I've had my cards read a number of times, and mystics reading tarot cards, like it fucking matters. And this is the thing, and sometimes these things happen, and like it's quite funny. I had my cards read a little while ago, and I was a question there. It was a couple of years ago, and it said something about moving to Vanuatu, and that's great, okay, and it nailed it because that was not on my cards. But I questioned, did that set some sort of, you know, did that send some sort of anchor in my subconscious mind? And then that created some sort of pattern that led me to moving to Vanuatu. So, I mean, who knows on these things? But I mean, we're looking at certain things. I saw a good post on Facebook. It's sort of like, you know, it's like a past life readings, and there's a massive line of people standing for past life readings, and, you know, and then there's like tarot readings, reading the future. And then there's like in the middle, like there's sort of past, future, and then now meditation, and then nobody's standing in the fucking meditation line.
Okay.
And I think that just dictates it perfectly. What we're getting at here is that real spirituality is about being in the now and not worrying about the past, the present, different fucking dimensions that you have to get to. I mean, this is the thing. If you're in a 3D dimension, you live in a 3D dimension. If you are running and tie your fucking shoelaces, you're living in a 3D dimension. It's as simple as that. And if you're living in this thing with this idea that you need to get to the 5th dimension, you've just created a goal. And then around that goal, you're going to have desire to achieve that. And when you've got a desire to achieve that, there's nothing spiritual about a desire to achieve anything.
So, can I ask on that? Is that where people are talking about the ego gets a sense of spirituality for itself, and then the ego latches onto it, and is that what you're talking about, where it's not then self-inquiry anymore? It's this egotistical need to jump level or to achieve and attain something.
Definitely. And I think that's, you know, for me, I can speak for myself here, that's probably been the most destructive ego. I mean, when I'm in business, and, you know, when I was 20, business, trying to buy a black BMW, all that sort of stuff, like that's very baseline ego. I can pull that up. I was in business trying to make money and screw women. You know what I mean? Like that's egotistical. There's no hiding that's egotistical. And I think that's a lot fucking healthier than having some sort of spiritual ego where you've got this ego wrapped in, you know, fucking orange loincloth and some mala beads, running around thinking that you're spiritual, but you're doing the same thing. What you're doing is you're projecting outwards to try to achieve things. Now, achieve sexual gratification or a black BMW, or
go back a little bit. You're just chopping up.
Spirituality. Sorry, mate. So what I'm saying, I mean, it's the same thing whether you're trying to go out and get a black BMW, the desire to get a black BMW, or the desire to, you know, get to some sort of level in spirituality. It's the same desire. Now, unfortunately, that spiritual ego is hidden very, very well, because there's thousands of people running around this world, you know, pretending to be spiritual, love, light, and peace, and all that sort of shit. Okay, and they're wrapped in this thing that they're trying to achieve something.
So one of the
I just think it's the reason I wanted to bring this in the space is I just think it's go for it, Matty.
no, finish why you want to bring this into the space.
Look, I wanted to be because I find it to be it's a lot of people aren't aware of this ego, and I see a lot of people saying that they've had ego deaths and this sort of stuff. And I mean, I can't claim to have any sort of ego death while I'm posting on fucking Facebook, and I see these things on Facebook saying, looking for gratification and fucking likes, saying that I've had an ego death, or, I've reached some certain level, and they're putting out some fucking video on Facebook with a fucking bindi eye and some face paint. You with me? Yeah. Like at Burning Man. So it's,
I can't fucking
and
wait
not
to go
that
to
I
Burning
don't
Man.
do that stuff, nor I like it. I've actually got a Facebook photo just
like that, you do.
no, I'm keen for that too. But it's it's got to be identified. And for me, the game is continually questioning it. And we'll talk about the game if you want to get into that. But if you want to ask a question,
Well, thanks for that. No, I like that. I think I don't remember who it was, but it was basically talking about the acceptance of the ego and going back to your duality, non-duality, the separation and the unity of everything. Is that our egos are a part of it? It's not like there's something like a bit of trash that we're going to throw away in the recycling bin and turn to something else. Like, as part of this, my understanding and part of this human experience is we've got this human experience on this level, on this plane to experience, and that's just a part of it. So yes, there's that. We'll definitely get into the game talk, but there's that. What we were chatting about earlier, that came up, was how it's sort of every time we learn something new, every time we have a new epiphany, it's just another layer of the onion that gets peeled off or peeled back, and it's a never-ending layers that get peeled there. And so it's not that we're trying to, when you go within that self-inquiry, and correct me where I'm wrong or if I've got any holes in this, but when we're self-inquiring and really going within, and shedding all these different layers, it's not to get to a destination. It's just a process, a never-ending, always dynamic process, ever-changing, ever-evolving. And so it's not to get to any place, but just to go through that experience as well. And then the ego itself in here to want desires and to want to be a part of something or want to achieve things. It's okay to do that, because that's the world we're living in. We're living in this realm where if you don't want to get hit by a car, you look left and right, and then you choose when you want to cross the road, which is one of the biggest decisions we make every day and we take for granted. But then what I've learned is that process of setting goals and that process of trying to attain and achieve things, it's also met by that process of letting go. And like you said, living right here in the moment and being in this space, which is strengthened through the practice of the meditation and that practice of self-inquiry. Can you sort of fill the gaps there or contribute to add on to that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, this idea of shedding layers of the ego to get somewhere, it's definitely not like that. It's like, let me try to think of it now. All right, look, we're born naked. We don't need to go anywhere to get naked. We just need to take the fucking clothes off. You know what I mean? And I think that's what it's like. We're just taking layers, taking the jacket off, taking the shoes off and stuff like that, so we can be in our natural form. And that's very much what it's like to me. And your question there kind of does play into the game, because for me myself, and with a non-dualistic principle, it's very clear that you've got, the non-dualistic principle states that there is a one almighty, all-powerful, omnipotent, eternal thing. Okay, presence, consciousness, if you like, God consciousness, the absolute. There is that. And then everything outside of that is, the Sanskrit word is jiva, and that's what's translated down the line, and now a lot of spiritual people call it ego. So I believe anything that is not the absolute is part of the illusion or part of the ego. Mm-hmm. So that's very easy for me to put a clear line in the sand on that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Sorry, mate, I've just had technical difficulties here. So it's very easy to clear that. Now, what I say is that anything that is not absolute is the game. It's just part of the game. It's just part of the illusion that we play.
Yes.
Okay, so if I understand that whenever I jump into ego, or wherever I'm playing my life, when I'm tying my shoes in the morning, that I'm just playing part of the game, okay, and that's not real. For me, the work is, and this is inquiry, is continually asking yourself that fucking question: to whom is playing this game? To who are these thoughts coming to? You know, to who are these
Elaborate on
thoughts
that.
occurring?
And
And when you
yeah,
continually
elaborate on
ask
that and
that
paint a
question,
picture of that, because the first time I heard that, like, to whom is this happening to? It was a little bit of a what the fuck do you mean? So for those that haven't even asked that question or maybe heard it like that before, maybe share your experiences of when you started, and then what it was like and what that means to you now.
yep, yep.
Yep,
Are you there? You've just cut out. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yep. So look, to me, beautiful. To me, it's this is the question. I mean, the meditation I do is a self-inquiry meditation. So the main thing is you ask the question, who am I? Okay, or whence am I? Okay, and that's basically it's a question which provokes the answer, which is you answer with I. Sorry, Maddie. Look, what I'm going to do here, because I can't concentrate. I've got this new mic and this
Yeah,
sexy new ring light on here,
yeah,
which make my eyes look really pretty.
yeah, it does.
But it's not fucking working for me, and it's really
Bro, you don't need
it's
no
it's
lights to make your
distracting
eyes
me.
look pretty.
So anyway, well, they make them look extra pretty.
Your smile does
So
it.
I bought it just for this chat. Anyway, it's not working. Technology's failed me, so fuck it. So I do this meditation where you're asking the question, "Who am I?" And that's basically raising the question, okay, who am I? Now the answer, what that does is you look for the I. Now when you find the I is the ego. The I is I, Sam, the identity around that. And then whenever thoughts arise in this meditation, I ask the question, to whom are these thoughts arising? Okay, and the answer can only ever be to that, me or I. So if I'm saying the thoughts are arising and these thoughts are me or I, well, then that is separate from what is real, God, if you like, God consciousness or whatever it may be. It
Mm.
is separate from that, so therefore must be false. So if I can continue that through my life and trying to live a spiritual life and running a business and doing ego things, driving cars and doing all these things, if I can continue to do that, but continue to ask myself, to whom are these thoughts occurring? To who is this happening to? Is this really fucking real? It brings into perspective a lot of things. Does that make sense,
It
or answer
does.
your
I think
question? Or
until people actually go through it as well, they'll find it hard to conceptualize. Well, that was my experience anyway. Um,
Mhm.
but tell me then the benefits of it, because like you said, you are still running big business. You are still building a mansion up on the top of a mountain in Vanuatu, like everyone wants to, and doing the things that egos would love to do.
Mhm.
So when you're looking forwards, right, and you're planning events, when you're planning goals, how does that sit? And how does that sit with you, and how do you marry the two? Or how does it benefit those experiences?
Okay. Okay. Well, for one, like, look, I find it, I mean, I've done a lot of personal development work, and a lot of stuff in personal development work is very cathartic, and they really like to, a big thing, especially with psychotherapy, it's all about
Hmm.
going into the fucking dark. It's, the whole kind of phoenix fucking thing. You go into the dark to come back out. Me personally, I don't see the point of it. It can be quite dangerous as well. But I really just don't see the point of that. If I can just identify things that come into my life, and whatever that comes into my life that is not always present, all powerful, that is not God or the absolute, that is not absolute. Whatever comes into my life, I can just call bullshit on. So I can, and it can be a traumatic thing. I mean, we talked on the phone today. It's like, my mother's got cancer or something, touch wood, but my mother's got cancer or something like that. So that comes into my life. And yes, that's going to be upsetting. That's going to create emotion and stuff like that. But for me to be able to identify that and say, hey, that's not actually real. That's not the game I'm playing. This is just part of the game that's provoking emotions and stuff like that. I find it very easy. Now, something as traumatic as your mother's got cancer is very hard to pass through, and sometimes you have to ask that question over and over too. Is this occurring? Is this really real? I understand this. Is like, yes, is she going? And this is the thing. Yes, is my mother got cancer, but when I'm all said and gone, and I am just a fucking speck or a
Yeah.
drop in the ocean, okay, does it really matter? And the
No.
answer is no, it doesn't really matter, because I'm bigger, part of something so much bigger. So that makes me pass that. Well, I find it easier to pass through things. On the other hand, when it comes to going out, setting goals and running business and stuff like that, I just continually got to check myself and say, hey, to whom is this occurring? To whom are these thoughts occurring? Yes, I'm going out, I'm achieving things, I'm doing business, stuff like that. Yes, I get some gratification from it. I get all this sort of stuff from it. I get reward financially. But if I can stay humble enough to go, well, is this really real, or is this just what I'm manifesting and what I'm creating? And by continually asking that question over and over and over again, I'll be honest with you, you come to a realization that you are a mass. All you do is you create. Okay, and this leads very nicely into an abundance game or a manifestation game. Because if you're in a big, if you're like if you believe in this, like you fucking believe in gravity, like if you believe in the law of attractions, I call it the law of creation. Like you believe in, you fucking know it. Like, you know it. Like, I know if I drop my mouse right now, it's going to hit the ground. Law of gravity, you know it as strong as that. Then you become a very powerful manifester, because all you got to do is think of things that you want. Okay, visualize them. Think of the emotion or the vibration that creates when you have that, and then be that vibration now. And it becomes a very powerful way to manifest. And this is a lot of the work that I do with coaching. I don't know if hopefully some people that I coach are on the call, but this is the work I do with coaching, and I find it, if you get this concept and you truly believe that you are a creator, like good, bad, ugly, everything, you create everything. There is only one truth. Everything else is just a fucking thing that you create through your ego. And you want to play that game, of manifesting and creating things in your life, you become unbelievably powerful, because it's all you know.
So can I just confirm a few things? So just to clarify, what I'm picking up is a few things. First of all, there's this knowing of a higher creator, call it Mother Nature, call it God, call it whatever it is, like a higher power, omnipresent being that is always here, always will be. That's the one thing that is always present and never changing. That's the first thing. Second thing is that you're like, if we use the metaphor of the ocean, that's the ocean, and we are just simply a wave in the ocean. And so you're just a expression of that. But in that expression, you sort of have the free will to be so tied up and glorified in that one wave that you are, or you can you recognize that you're a part of the ocean.
Call it.
Yeah. Okay,
call it the game. Okay. It makes more sense.
Explain it. Yeah.
In the game of life. In the game of life, I have a choice on how I play that game of life, on how I express myself in that game of life. Okay, and coming from a principle that understanding that game of life is just a fucking game, like a PlayStation game or an Xbox game. Okay, and you can win or you can lose at it. Understanding that wholeheartedly, like you do gravity, brings about a big power as a creator. It brings a big understanding around how things are created, and therefore makes you a very strong manifester in the purpose. Now, the trick for me and what I said is to continually question myself on this, so my ego doesn't run fucking wild. Because when you can manifest very quickly, and this is started some of the work that I'm really trying to get into, is working with manifestation and how that works. The stage where I'm at now is I'm really trying to play with the illusion of time and trying to, untether that concept in my mind of time, because then I can instantly manifest, which becomes very interesting. But when you become a very strong creator or manifester, there's a lot of ego that comes with that. Okay, and this is definitely the battle that I have. So I'm in the continual question of, is that real? Is that really me? To whom are these thoughts occurring? To whom is this life occurring to? Is it real? Because I'm going to fucking go.
And that's one of
Sam
the things
Lewis
that we're
won't
talking
exist.
about, that is sort of glorified or mystified, the manifestation, when it's actually like a physical phenomena as opposed to a spiritual practice, this form of manifestation. You speak on that and the differences that you've noticed people talking on it.
Yeah, look, I believe so on it. And I look at manifestation. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, manifestation is one of those things that sells like fucking crazy. I mean, you tell people that they're going to make money by doing a spiritual practice, they'll do the spiritual practice. It's one of those funny things. You tell them they're going to reach enlightenment, they couldn't give a fuck. So I mean, it's one of those, it's one of those things. But yeah, look, manifestation I call it the law of creation. Okay, and it's just whatever your mind perceives, it creates. And this is not, it's not about going out and creating this or creating a house on a mountain. It works for that, but it's also for all the trauma in your life. It's for everything in your life. It's the whole fucking existence that is. Okay, your consciousness creates the universe. Okay, without consciousness, the universe can't exist. We talked about this, the bear shitting in the woods, but
If the
that
bear
was the
shits in the
wrong
woods,
thing.
there's a
But it
tree
was
fall.
anyway. That's actually what I said. But if a tree falls in the woods, nobody's there to hear it. Does it make a sound? And this is the thing. Who can answer that? You know what I mean? So, I mean, if my mind's not here to perceive this reality, does that reality even exist? And in my beliefs, and I'm not here to push it, no, it doesn't. It's